stream of consciousness. There are some things you just have to accept in life. Sometimes a pandemic happens and you just have to accept that. Sometimes it feels like there's no such thing as truth anymore. Do you have to accept that? Maybe not. That might not be a thing you have to accept. Sometimes you get robbed and you just have to accept that loss. You can do your best to try and recover what you've lost, but ultimately, when you're robbed, you're going to have to accept that it happened. When somebody dies, you have to accept that they're dead and gone and they're never coming back. People like ghosts because it's a way to feel that person isn't really gone, that they're looking after them, that they're present, that they can still have that person. The person isn't dead and they're not gone, even though they are dead and gone. But then sometimes I do believe in ghosts, but maybe the ghost is just a manifestation of our own mind, which doesn't mean it doesn't have power, of course, but does it really mean that the person is back in a sort of immaterial form, but it is truly that dead person? No, I don't think that's what's going on. I think it's something in our mind, and that's okay. It's okay to have a thing in our mind to hold on to sometimes, as long as the delusion doesn't prevent us from the important things in life. And number one would be living our life, to live our life and to be able to move forward with it and accept it for what it is and change what we can when we want to and accept what we can't. Is that AA? Is that what AA says? I'm extremely skeptical of AA, but I know people who swear by it, and I know other people who don't. And I mean, that's fine. Addiction is a funny thing. I don't think there's any real, one size fits all way out of that hole. Some people, they go to the bottom of that shitty, scummy, gross tank, and they manage to resurface and climb out and take a shower and do just fine. And I don't know how that happens. It's got to be a combination of circumstance and something inside that person that goes beyond circumstance. And then there's other people who are often known as difficult cases. They usually have pretty severe mental illness wrapped up in that. I don't know if you think of addiction as a mental illness or not. It certainly, yeah, it is. It's just a very different kind of mental illness from the other forms of mental illness that make a person a difficult case. And just because you're a difficult case doesn't mean you're violent. In fact, I kind of feel like it's the people who are actually pretty normal aside from their addiction who are the most dangerous and problematic sometimes, whether that's your shitty abusive dad or the thief methodically working their way through a neighborhood looking for a quick injection of something to trade for cash. Injection, was that rude? I don't know. I don't know anymore what's rude and what isn't. I'm just trying to be a good person over here. The crazy part is I was robbed last night, and it was so violating. They went through my underwear drawer, and it was so tidy, and they left things sort of in a very neatly arranged situation that was not how I had left it. And they just took all of the sentimental jewelry with them. And I think about how much money they're walking away with, and they left my laptop. They left a lot of stuff that was worth way more money, but what they took with them was really portable and easy to pawn. And I'm pretty pissed off. I mean, for a shitty thief, it was really nice of them to not take my laptop. I mean, my laptop is covered in stickers and password protected and would be really hard to unload, but still, they didn't take it with them in some like vain hope of making cash off of that. But they did take all of this jewelry. I mean, some of the stuff they took, it's worth like $40. They didn't even stick with the really valuable shit. They went with, just a nice thing that my mom gave me, or was given to me by my brother, or I inherited from a dead grandmother who I never really knew, but who was definitely crazy. And you know what, actually, that necklace from the dead grandmother, it's a funny thing to have had that stolen. That necklace, it's a gold chain, a very small gold chain, not the world's most expensive or nice looking. And it's a stone also set in gold. Again, a small amount of gold. The gold is worth something. But the stone is just like a rose quartz. It's like it was a sort of a round, like an oval, polished rose quartz. And it's very sweet. And it's one of those things you're supposed to have on you to increase your openness to love and your attractiveness to love and your feelings of warmth and acceptingness. That's not a word. It's sort of like the oxytocin of magical crystals, if you believe in magical crystals. It's also pink and looks really cute. It looks really good with my complexion. And I felt like it never really gave me any luck. Mostly because the person who wore it who it's from was so unlucky in love. Really, really terrible marriages. One, her first husband left her when she was, possibly still a teenager. And then the second was a very abusive man. And then I think I heard a rumor she had a boyfriend or something kind of in her later years. But that came to nothing before she had some sort of mental health crisis or possibly a seizure, and was found driving the wrong way down the highway. Major highway, 400 series highway, which in Ontario means like an 8-lane highway. That's a fast highway that you do not want to be driving the wrong way down. So that's gone now. And maybe I'm going to accept that it's gone, particularly by thinking of myself as unburdened by it. I often feel like objects are a burden. I mean, I like objects. I like nice objects a lot. I'm really sad about many of these nice objects that are gone. But I'm very open to the idea that I've been unburdened from them, and that it will just create room for new objects. I don't know. I don't need new objects right now. But maybe one day. I had this idea in my mind that I would just sort of, collect gold more as sort of something to be able to barter my life for as society begins its slow decline. And this was really in like the first year or two of the Trump administration that I really kind of got into this, I should probably be buying some gold right about now. And like gold wasn't super cheap at the time. I felt bad that I hadn't gotten on the bandwagon a little sooner, but it's way more expensive now. So that's fine. I mean, the other thing is I don't currently need that gold in order to eat or barter my life for. So I'm fine. It's totally fine. I don't know, you see movies about the Holocaust and you see these genteel bourgeois families sewing the jewelry into the lining of the children's dresses. And we're not there yet. Hopefully we'll never get there. And if you see me in the middle of, a complete social collapse, I definitely do not have jewelry sewn into the lining of my clothes. That's not going to happen because it just all got stolen. All my jewelry got stolen. And that's fine. I mean, I'm getting a patio umbrella delivered in the next 2 weeks, and I need a patio umbrella way more than I need jewelry right now. And that's just the truth. They didn't take all my jewelry either. It was weird. They left a pair of jade bracelets that are worth a lot, like $70 or $80. But, I mean, you also see the dude selling these bracelets literally on the sidewalk in Chinatown. And these are expensive bracelets. And some of them are really, really magnificent stones. But they're not moving fast. You can't melt jade down the way you can melt gold down, which is a shame. No, that's not a shame at all. It's wonderful. I get to keep those beautiful bracelets. Those bracelets are incredible. They're too big for me. But when you have like a really big piece of jade to wear on your person, you realize why it's invested with so much emotional meaning and power. And that's because it glows like a glow stick. Like the glow-in-the-dark stickers that get stuck into children's bedrooms of the planets. It just glows. Even in the daytime, it kind of glows. And it's not like pearls, where like the pearls are sort of like softly illuminating your face. It's a different kind of glowing. It doesn't make me look magical. The bracelets look magical. And that's how that works. I haven't tried wearing, there's a guy selling some purple jade on the sidewalk. It's not amethyst, it's purple jade. And I've had my eye on it for a while. It's like, it's not cheap. And they're smaller, they're more my size. But I haven't even gotten up the nerve to ask to try it on. I know how much it is. He knows I keep stopping and staring at it. The problem is it's not gold. I can't trade on it like I can trade on gold. So it would have to be a purely aesthetic choice. And I'm not really much of one for bracelets. I used to wear a necklace every day for a while. But I don't know. There's other things to spend money on, but sometimes it's nice to just take a big pile of money and spend it on something purely frivolous and not just like fireworks are... Okay, spending money on fireworks is... The reason that's cool is because you get to show off to everyone. And even people who say they don't like fireworks... It's just, you're literally burning your money and letting everybody see it go off. And it's noisy, and it lights up the sky, and you know that you just need to tweak it a little and you could turn it into cannons. And that's why fireworks are cool. It's like a really kind of like big badass thing you can do. You can just show the world how you like to make a big show. So that's why that's a kind of a cool way to spend money on something frivolous. I think people will tell you that gold's not frivolous because you can trade on it for your life if you need to. So I'm not going to talk about gold as a frivolous purchase. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the market for jade jewelry is in an international context. So it can't be melted down. That's the thing. And like once you carve it, it's carved and you can't uncarve it. So I wonder, I'm just so curious how that works from like a market perspective. Like, is it just an emotional purchase, or does anybody ever like invest in jade aside from like a jade mine? And as like, I don't even mean invest in it as an antique, because people don't invest in gold as antiques either. It's always for melting down and turning into something else and selling. Maybe that's why they call it gold fever. Like it's just this endless cycle. It has such a low melt point. It's so malleable. It's so pure. It doesn't tarnish. And that's where it has that magical quality too. Like jade's magical quality is, it's this kind of almost like an eerie spirit with that green. And by eerie, I even mean like fairies can be eerie, like that kind of eerie. And then the gold, it's something else. It's that brilliant, like the sun, always transforming, so mutable. And that's the interesting thing about gold. But I mean, what's another fun, frivolous thing? Fashion. Fashion is definitely a frivolous thing. And there's the fashion you buy that you actually wear, and that's not frivolous. But then there's the fashion that you buy that you wear once. And when you spend $1,000, $500 even, $10,000 on that thing that you wear once, that's a frivolous purchase, and that's really different from the fireworks. And like the eroticism of that kind of fashion has less to do. I mean, it still has something to do with making the body beautiful, but that's not really the point. The point is that that display of wealth, that like, this thing is so fancy, and that this person is wearing it once to their fancy dress ball or whatever it is. I like to dress up. I mean, you can also pull things out of the garbage that you wear once and that make you look spectacular. So it's all relative. It's all very relative. Everything is relative, right? Is that true? Is everything relative? I know that there are people out there who hate moral relativism, and there are people out there who hate moral absolutism. I'm trying to not think about that too much right now because I just got robbed. And like ultimately just that feeling you feel when you got robbed is violation. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about the objects being stolen, as in somebody just coming in and taking them from your home, which is shitty. I'm sure, when musicians get their gear stolen out of the back of the van when they're on tour, that it's not their home, but that also has to be just so violating. Like, they're just out there making music and somebody stole their livelihood right there. That's so sad. Because also, if they're on tour like that, they definitely do not have a lot of money lying around to buy new instruments. Man. So my neighbor put up these really, totally improvised little panels at all these different points around the building. And I saw them putting it up, and I was just like, oh my God, A, it looks so dangerous the way that they're doing this, like they're going to hurt themselves. And B, these are supposed to keep raccoons away, and I can't imagine how this is going to keep a raccoon away. But lo and behold, there have been no raccoons, and maybe I'll be wrong. Did you know I have a problem with the raccoons? Animals are funny with me. They just come up and they think I'm going to give them things or treat them nice. And I like cats. I've learned to like dogs. But I have a really hard time with the kind of more disgusting raccoons. Rats know better. Rats don't come up to me. I don't think they really come up to anyone unless it's like a rat that you've trained and it's your little pet and you carry it around with you everywhere on your shoulder, and people start freaking out. It's like, oh, there's a rat on your shoulder. Oh my God, what the fuck, a rat? And then you're like, no, it's my pet rat. Just pet the pet rat. Look how cute he is. He's crawling up all around you, wiggling his little pet rat nose, and he's got his ratty little tail. And you know that person's really into the underdog, that person with the pet rat, because they feel like an underdog usually, and they're going to get not just an underdog. This is somebody who just wants to show the world that they're not vermin. And I can feel that. I mean, I don't think I'm vermin, but I can definitely feel why somebody who felt like vermin would want to carry around an animal that everybody else thinks is vermin, but is in fact very clever and likes to eat Cheerios out of their fingers and sit on their shoulder. And I don't know, curl up in the crook of their arm on a flight somewhere because the rat has been certified as a personal support animal. And honestly, on a long flight, I would way rather sit next to the person with the rat, like the very like fancy rat as a personal support animal, than the person who's got a fucking gigantic dog as their personal support animal. And I say this as somebody who very much loves and cares for many people who have their gigantic dog certified as a personal support animal, but I'm just here also in defense of all the people who like really do not want to sit next to your like unneutered dog on a long haul somewhere. But you know, I mean, I would sit next to your dog because I know your dog and I love your dog, but I don't want to sit next to somebody else's dog because I don't know that dog and I don't love that dog. It's like children. You know, I know my friends' children and I love my friends' children. I don't know your children and I really do not want to be sitting next to them on a long flight somewhere, especially one that your children don't want to be on either. That's fine. I like smiling at strange children. It's nice. I like flirting with babies and flirting with children, but there's certain circumstances where that's just not going to go over. And I also just don't want to make friends. I'm just not in a mood to make friends. But other times, why not? I feel like the train, a lot of the time, if you're taking the train, the reason you're on the train is because you want to make friends. I mean, first, you want to see the splendor of North America unfolding in front of you. And then you might also get to make some funny friends. Like maybe you'll meet a retired Marine and his wife, and they're taking a retirement honeymoon. And then maybe you meet like a 11-year-old cowboy who's never talked to a woman who wasn't his mother or teacher before, maybe, because he comes from a town of 15 people. Or you can talk to the woman who is painting her child's nails directly behind you using like Family Dollar grade high acetone nail polish, and also using like pure acetone to take the polish off the child's nails. And there's only so much you can take, and you have to turn around and say this is totally inappropriate and you're making everybody sick. And the woman looks so hurt. She looks so hurt. She's like not even 25 years old, and she's just trying to make her little girl's nails pretty, and it's not the place or the time. This isn't even the train, it's the Greyhound bus. And it's a bad scene for everybody. Just a terrible situation because now she feels bad and I have a headache, and like the child's being poisoned. Nobody wanted to say anything. They're all kind of relieved, but they also clearly feel bad for this woman who's like dreams of being a nail salon technician or crumbling, not for any real reason, just because of her own self-confidence. The Greyhound's fine. It's fine. There's actually, like, if you're not tall, and you're, like, confident in, like, lightly sketchy situations at 2 a.m, the Greyhound's cool. Also a great way to see America. Like, this whole other America that you don't see. Like, the train is cool because you go through this, like, hideous colonial path through the West that carved up Native people's land and took it from them. But then you can go on. It's so cool. You take the original, like, 1800s canyon railway view, and there's little, like, adobe villages still there, and, like, it's cute, except in real life they are completely suffering from COVID because of lack of medical facilities, because they still haven't received the full funding that they're supposed to receive from the federal government for medical care, health care. Anyway, Amtrak is great. Probably wouldn't take it now during COVID. Greyhound is great in its own special way. I also would not take it now during COVID, and it also went bankrupt in some part of Canada. I forget whether it's Eastern or Western Canada, but there's no more greyhound in Canada now. So let's see what fills that vacuum. I hope it's something way better. Oh my God, I hope it's something way better. In Eastern Europe and in Mexico, you can get on like a second tier bus, and it's like luxury chairs, like the business class chair on an airplane, and they bring you cool drinks, and you have your own personal TV, and it's amazing. Maybe we can get something like that, unless everybody has a car. But will everyone have a car? I mean, gas is cheap right now. It's not even cheap anymore. It's back up to like 101, 111. So that was short-lived. But, well, yeah, we'll see. In my fantasy life, there's like the world that we just burn it to the ground and start again. But then there's that other life where it's like, well, like if we burn everything to the ground, isn't that what like climate change is? Like, isn't that what the oil companies have been doing this whole time, burning everything to the ground? I don't know. It takes all kinds of people to build a village in which the child is raised who makes sure society continues in some form or another. Hopefully something that will not equal just bare survival. I mean, yeah, that's, I've accepted, you know, I'm not going to have, the things that my mother's generation had, which is ironic because the things she had are pretty modest. But I've accepted that. I just would like to be at a level above bare survival. I think it's possible. I mean, I do think that many institutions will last, and, you know, ideally reforms will take place and they'll be even more robust. It's the things like the food supply chain I'm more worried about, or like our ability to survive 45 degrees Celsius heat in the summer. Those are the things I have my concerns about. But again, just like death and getting robbed, those are things you just have to accept when they come and do your best to work to make it livable. Because sometimes the way you make it livable is just accept it. But then other times the way you make it livable is by trying to change what you can. Maybe we'll just all go live underground, like Jamiroquai says. Hopefully it won't have to come to that. I hate basements. I really like being high up. I grew up in a apartment building when I was a child that was the 14th floor, which like now seems ridiculous. I mean, there's a 80-story tower just behind me. But, you know, when you see a sunset from that high up, uninterrupted, it's nice. It's cool to be able to just see that. Or like there's these apartments on the lake here, not the condos, but like further west and further east, and to just like sit in your chill apartment and watch like the sun setting over the lake in the middle of a city, that's so nice. That's great. Or no matter where you are, just to have like a little window to look out on the world from high above and kind of spy on it. It's nice. I like those things. I like those things very much. And I currently have that. In fact, there hasn't been a time where I haven't had that, with the exception of sort of like exceptional circumstances, like the time I lived in a weird libertarian corporate commune where we all had these sort of like fancy cardboard boxes we lived in inside a giant like interwar period former warehouse. That was not like that wasn't inspiring. That wasn't very inspiring. But the problem with being up on the top floor is it's hot. It's very hot. And since I was robbed, I can't leave my door open anymore. The one on the deck that lets some nice air flow through. And also, sadly, I had a very thin Indian cotton night dress, and I used to just like soak it in cold water and wear that to bed with the fan on. And that's a classic, that's a classic move. Centuries of tried, tested, and true results from that. But alas, I no longer have that night dress. It fell to pieces. And see, that's a good reminder. If I had a choice between a pair of golden earrings right now and like a thin night dress that I could soak in ice water before going to bed, I would take the thin night dress. If I had the choice between like a piece of jewelry with some sentimental value, but that I wear maybe 5 times a year and I also have no need to sell, I would still take the thin cotton night dress, which I guess means I should probably go get myself a thin cotton night dress, which is very exciting. Those are pretty cute. Those are pretty cute things to wander around in like a ghost of the summer. Well, I think it's all I have to say for myself. I live in the middle of a very large city, right downtown. And I'm so fortunate because this space I have, it's almost planetarium grade night sky, the perspective I have. And around the horizon, of course, the light pollution is terrible. But if you look up, I can see stars, not a lot, but I can see them. And sometimes I can see recognizable planets. The moon is, it's waxing right now, and it'll be full by the weekend. So only 2 or 3 days from now. So there's a lot of that light in the air, but sometimes I see meteors, just shooting stars, spitting out above. And the fact that that's possible is mind-blowing. That shouldn't be possible, but it is, and here I am, and I'm so lucky for that. Got the wind blowing across me. It's finally cooling down, and it's not about what will happen one day, but that sometimes today is just right. I have a friend who's going through some hideous pain right now, and he was like, yeah, I don't have any patience for this. And I was like, well, it's an opportunity to learn patience. A terrible, horrible opportunity to learn patience. Whatever that means. I mean, what can you do? There you are. You accept it. And, or you don't. Do you have to accept pain? I've heard that one of the best ways to not have your pain be so terrible is to accept it. And it probably goes for our feelings too. That when our heart is full of pain from whatever fear or sadness we have, that if we just accept that we're feeling that pain, it'll be gone sooner than we realize.
Stream of consciousness.